From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the Business, Equity, and Opportunities Podcast with Scott Sander.
Welcome to the Business, Equity, and Opportunities Podcast. I'm Scott Sander. Today's pod is an exclusive extended edition with extra information and conversation beyond what you saw in our Sunday morning broadcast. Carolene Mays is a familiar face in Central Indiana. TV host, motivational speaker, longtime community leader, and founder of a leadership training program that bears her name. She is also one of this year's featured leaders in the upcoming NAWBO Boss Ladies magazine.
Every business is unique and has a target audience. If you own or manage a business, Circulus Digital Media can help you connect and grow your customer base with turnkey digital solutions that are nimble, offering best-in-class results, service, and support to reach a bigger customer base, allowing you to pinpoint a specific audience down to the smallest details. Get outside the city, the state, span the globe. Put Circulus Digital Media to work for you. Get started now at circulusdigital.com. That's circulusdigital.com.
I am Carolene Mays, and I am the founder and CEO of Black Leadership and Legacies, now doing business as Building Leaders and Legacies. I also have Carolene Mays Inspiring Leadership, which I founded also a few years ago, and then am the creator and host of Community Link on Wish TV.
So as opposed to having you give your entire journey, because you have a couple hours, I'm sure.
It's kind of funny to give my entire journey.
Yeah.
So,
well, let's hit, since we're talking about leadership, I know you've had a lot of great mentors in your life and what you've done in your journey. Do you want to hit some high points that have helped you understand the importance of leadership?
So let me start by saying this. Because my career journey has taken so many sharp turns, not just those turns that you would expect, the slow, easy moving along, I shouldn't say easy, but moving along in a certain direction. My career has gone in directions that I never expected. What I will say is a lot of that has come from community service, honestly. My work in the community, giving back, really wanting to help people, reaching out and being passionate about that, allowed other leaders in the community to see my work not from a perspective where I'm interviewing or trying to sell myself. I'm just working from my heart, being authentic, who I truly am, and giving back and working with that passion. And it made such a difference. And so I started in the corporate world and then moved into family business and then moved into the House of Representatives. And from there, also at the Indianapolis Recorder, Indiana Minority Business Magazine. And I'm working in the community, and I'm just doing work. I'm just working, not worrying about titles or worrying about what other people were thinking. I was just doing the work because I knew it was what I was called to do. And in doing that, other people saw the passion. They saw the heart. They saw the good work that I could do, the intelligence or the ability and willingness to give 100% of everything that I did. And it made a difference. And then I started getting tapped for positions. I've been offered positions that were so unbelievable that I didn't even take. And I got tapped initially, I remember, by Mitch Daniels. Even as a Democrat elected state representative, a Republican governor tapped me for a position at the Utility Regulatory Commission. And so when I left the Indianapolis Recorder, I went to the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission as a commissioner. And after that, I was tapped asking if Senator Evan Bayh at the time, could recommend me for a position with President Barack Obama. And of course, I said, absolutely. And I applied, and was 100 people were applied for that position. It was as a leader of HUD. And I applied for that position, then made it to the top 20, then made it to the top 3. At the same time, that was when Mitch Daniels asked me about the Utility Regulatory Commission. So I didn't know if I would get the position with the president. So I allowed my name to be put in for the Utility Regulatory Commission. When I got the call from Mitch Daniels about the Utility Regulatory Commission, I withdrew my name from the HUD position on a Friday, only to find out the next week that Barack Obama had chosen me for the position. So I got the appointment without knowing it, but I'd already made the commitment to the governor. So I didn't pull back on that commitment. And so the bottom line to this is just the work that you're doing from your heart. When you're doing the right thing, when you're doing it with passion, when you're doing it with integrity, it can make a difference. And people will see that and will tap you then for other positions. And at the Utility Regulatory Commission, I was then tapped nationally to chair critical infrastructure. And I chaired critical infrastructure then for the nation over the utilities, which included cybersecurity. I also want to say I had no background in any of the positions that I took, from journalism, television, the publishing in the newspaper, the utilities. I didn't even serve on a utility committee when I was in the legislature. And critical infrastructure, no background. Cybersecurity, no background. But I dug in and gave 100%. And in doing that, I became the top in my field in every single one of the positions. I was named in the top 15 in the nation for critical infrastructure within a year, if you can believe it. The Indianapolis Recorder became one of the top minority newspapers in the country in a year. But it was because I was willing to dig in, to learn, and then to really embrace the people that were around me and help them grow. And then we grew together and then built these organizations up to become top in the field.
Where did you grow? Where did you get that strength to make these amazing decisions that would scare a lot of other people to death, but that you conquered that? Where did you get that strength?
I have to tell you, the place where I get my strength is my faith. It all boils down to my faith. I trust God. And whenever I was asked to take on other positions, or when I saw opportunities or have seen opportunities, I always pray about them. When I was asked to take over the Indianapolis Recorder with no background in journalism or publishing, my first reaction was, I'll pray about it. I was shocked that I was being asked with no background, but my first reaction was, I'll pray about it. And when I knew I was supposed to do it, all I could do was pray my way through and pray for God to bring people into my path that would help me, and to be able to help grow the business, help grow the people around me, to show how to treat them, to show what to say to them, to make them want to go along with me on the journeys that I've been on. It truly has been faith all the way through. And I could not have done it without that faith. I have a favorite scripture that is Ephesians 3:20. And it says, God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we could ask or do. But it goes on to say, which is the part people forget, it goes on to say, but it is according to the power that works within us. We have the power within us, and we have a God who's able to do. If we would just tap into that power and trust and believe that we have it because God has given it to us, then we can do these amazing things that are set in our path. And I've just had to step on that faith. When I started Leadership and Legacies, I was at White River State Park. I had been appointed there by Governor Pence and then reappointed by Holcomb. And it was such a blessing. I built the new amphitheater downtown when no one would help me. They all told me I couldn't do it. And I asked why. And they said to me, because we've been trying for 12 years and haven't been able to get it done. I literally leaned forward and looked at them all and said, thank you for the challenge. Now let me get it done. And so we raised the $30 million, built the new amphitheater downtown. It became, honestly, for Live Nation, they've said it has become the premium outdoor space in all their venues. And I'm so grateful for that. But in the midst of doing all that, I just felt God tapping to move forward. And it was, again, just putting my faith out there. I tell people that I felt like I was walking off a cliff when I quit my job. When I walked in the governor's office and gave them a 3.5-month notice and said, I need to leave. And they literally said, why? Things are going really well. And I said, I want you to know it's not because of you. You've been really good to me. And I'm grateful for that. But when God is tapping, it's so much more important than what man can ask me to do. And so because of all the things that I'd done, because of all the contacts that I'd made in the various positions that I had, this crazy path that I was on, I got to meet some amazing people, some amazing leaders. I got to learn so much as I moved along. And I wanted then to share that knowledge with others, to bring them along as well. Those who maybe are not in those same circles, who are not getting those same opportunities, but are very deserving, very talented, amazing leaders, but are just not getting the opportunities. And so when God was tapping, and for me to take all this experience, all these contacts that I had learned along the way, and now to help other people, I knew I couldn't stop. And it was going to take courage. It took a lot of courage. I gave up my salary. I gave up my benefits. So I gave up what I felt like was my foundation to be able to sustain my livelihood, to do this. And I did it without having planned. I didn't have anything on paper. And I tell people, I don't recommend that you do that. I don't recommend necessarily that you do that unless you know God is calling. But on a Monday, I resigned from my job. On Tuesday, there was a meeting planned with a couple people, Shannon Williams and Patrick Jones, who I knew well. And I didn't know what it was about. But when I talked to them on Tuesday, they said, Carolene, we're recommending you for a national fellowship. And the national fellowship was to create legacies, to sustain legacies. I'd already named my business Leadership and Legacies, and all I could do was have tears. And I literally felt God say to me, you felt like you were walking off a cliff, and there my righteous right hand was to catch you, and I will carry you. Just be faithful, believe, and trust. Take the step, have the courage to do what I'm asking you to do, because I am able to do exceedingly abundantly above. But that power is in you. Now trust it, trust me, and let me carry you along the way. And it has been a beautiful journey of leadership. So I have Leadership and Legacies. And in that program, I've now been able to help 97 women and move them forward in their journeys. So I started in 2022 with the program. It just flowed right out of me. And it's Executive Women of Color, which now is a partnership with the Women's Fund of Central Indiana. And then I have Professional Women Leaders. And these are all very talented, amazing leaders in their own right already, who are trusting me to help move them even further along and up in their journey. And it's really beautiful. I have to tell you, of these people that have gone through the program, so far, 86% of them are now on boards who never served on boards before. We've been able to place these women on boards who wouldn't have probably been tapped because they weren't known in these circles. And then 94% of them have either gotten major promotions or moved to other companies where they've moved into higher level positions, or they've become successful entrepreneurs. And I tell you, I'm just like, thank you so much, because the courage to step out and do that and to help them and to bring other women along now that I'm creating legacies, not only in community, where I say we wrap our arms around community, but also working with them to create generational legacies, because we as women and we as minorities typically don't do that well in business. And so now we're creating generational legacies as well. And that leadership program, that fellowship that I went into, gave me the financial means to be able to really start the program and move forward very, very quickly.
What do you say to people now that are in this middle of an uncertainty to have that faith in their God and in themselves to take that next step as we all collectively get through this.
So imposter syndrome is a very real situation that we deal with as women. I've dealt with it through most of my career. We have been taken back or put in the back seat so often that sometimes it's just hard to get up and to take that step. I do want to say this. When I was in the legislature, I remember sitting in my seat. I'd been elected. People were trusting me, right, with legislation, with their livelihoods, with their lives, and in this very important position. And when I first started, I wasn't saying very much. I was sitting back and just kind of watching, feeling intimidated. And I would watch these men constantly go to the mic to talk about legislation. And one day I sat there and I'm really listening, and I realized I know more than they do about bills that they're talking about, that their names are on. My name's not even on the bill. And because I've studied the legislation, I'm finding I can answer the questions better than some of these men can. Not a negative towards them necessarily, but I just really dug in. And I sat there and I realized, why am I sitting back? Questions are being asked that need to be answered. I've got answers. I've studied. I've learned. I've got answers. Why am I sitting back and being intimidated when I can answer those questions, when I can take these steps to do this work that needs to be done? And I found myself realizing, you have got to stop sitting back. That was one of the things I learned, that I am as strong and as powerful, and I've got that power in me. Now I need to use it. Now I need to use it for the benefit of others. And it was the moment when I began to step out. The other thing I realized is I spent way too much of my life apologizing for my success. We as women, when we are successful, we want to step back or down to make other people feel better about themselves. And that's not helpful to me. It's not helpful to them. And so I had to stop apologizing for my success. And those are lessons now that I'm trying to tell other people. These women are talented. They are powerful. They have the answers. So now believe in yourself. Trust that you have that. And if you don't feel like you have it, then study and make sure that you get it. Become educated so that you can step out and do the things that you're being called to do with a great confidence. And that's something that I've learned that we have to do. We have to be willing to become educated and then be willing to speak up and not let anybody intimidate us, and stop apologizing and shrinking back and down to make other people feel better about themselves. Because when we're stepping up and stepping out, then we as women are giving other women the courage to do that as well.
Our thanks again to all the contributors who joined us for this episode of the Business Equity and Opportunities podcast. We hope you found it enlightening, useful, and inspiring. You'll find more information about the show on our website, beoshow.com. You can watch Business Equity and Opportunities Sunday mornings at 10 on Wish TV or live stream it through wishtv.com. Each week we provide 7 full segments with topics ranging from how to get started and how to access capital to the day-to-day running of your business and questions about accounting and bookkeeping. We feature business news and trends and always share a success story from one of our contributors. Join us next time for more insights into the world of small business. Be sure to sign up for our Business Equity and Opportunities newsletter to get even more valuable, up-to-date information. And if you have any questions or you'd like to be part of our show, please email us. The address is beo@wishtv.com. We'd love to hear from you. I'm Scott Sander. Thanks for listening.
Watch the Business Equity and Opportunity Show on Wish TV and access all of our content and share it on demand anytime at beoshow.com. You can find more podcasts from Wish TV on the All Indiana Podcast Network at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.